After many years of understanding business and trying to study it and look at it and try to look at different ways to innovate so that people can make more money effectively and efficiently. And the reason why I do that is because it helps people prosper. I have come to the conclusion that there's often not a hack to do this better, other than the tried and true that we often know what the answer actually is, and that is to repeat, to do things over and over and over again, and to do things that are often very tried and true that you simply just ask people, what do they think? You you continuously iterate and improve things, not necessarily in a big way, but you just keep putting in the work every single week, every single year until it starts moving the needle. I don't know of any other way to do things more effectively than to simply just keep putting in the work. And I know that this is frustrating for a lot of people, and it frustrates me all of the time. I know that after many years of building the Reciprocity Project software platform to help create non-rejectable research papers and grants and make sure that it's fun and exciting, I just know how difficult it actually is to do things. I also know how difficult it actually is to do good, solid research that people understand. And when I say that, a lot of people are going to sort of cash out. But what I'm saying is that most things that are real, that move the needle, that people really want, just require a god awful amount of work. And it often requires a profound belief in doing something that nobody else believes in, right? It's the detachment of reality to keep putting in the work, even though it feels crazy and even though it often feels very unrewarding. I think if you look at that, you will see that's the basis of almost all important things in your life. It seems crazy to stay married for 30, 40, 50 years to somebody that is 20 years old and saying, well, why would you ever do that? Why would you ever get married and stay together for 30 or 50 years? It's not that it is easy to actually do. In fact, it's probably difficult to do, but there's benefits from actually doing that in terms of stability in your life, in terms of recouping benefits that are often not easy to talk about in a very simplistic way. If you were to talk to somebody that is 20 years old and tell them that they should invest 10, 20, 30% of everything that they ever make into into the stock market, broadly the stock market. Not going to get into too much of that, just index funds and mutual funds. And you do that for your whole life. You take everything you ever make and take a percentage of that and you put it away. And you don't spend it on coffees, you don't spend it on cars, you don't spend it on houses and all of these kind of things. Inevitably, everybody thinks that you're crazy. Inevitably, everybody thinks that what you're doing is probably the wrong thing to actually do. And this is why doing these things are difficult in your life. This is why it is painful and nobody ever really wants to do it. It's because in that moment, you realize just how difficult it actually is to get up and to repeat and to do that same old thing. And the problem is you're going to find very, very few people that will understand that. That is just getting pleasure from the work itself, figuring out that the grind, the pain that you often feel, the the I don't want to do this belief is the joy. And unfortunately, the messaging that is often told today in almost all of our society is that pain is a problem. Right? You go into the doctor's office today, they prescribe you with all sorts of different painkillers and all these kind of things. I understand that a little bit of pain or a lot of pain is not great. We don't want that. But a little bit of dull pain every day where something doesn't feel right, it's uncomfortable, and you just keep putting in that effort, that is often not the story that is told in our life. And we think that everything should be perfect. We think that there is um, not uneasiness that often happens, but it's far from the truth from reality. If you actually move the needle in your life, you'll realize that, yes, everything that is worthwhile has a little bit of pain associated with it. If you go too far, that's not good. But if you have a little bit of pain every single day for the rest of your life because you're trying to move the needle, and that pain is people don't understand you. That pain is that maybe you live a little bit more poorly than what everybody else is doing. That pain is you just look a little bit strange, or you put in work more than everybody else, or you are living on a diet that just seems really strange because it's so pure. Nobody else really understands it. These are the things that actually move the needle. These are the things that nobody really wants to pay attention to and nobody really wants to do. And in fact, I know I have this conversation, when I speak this out loud, nobody's going to pay attention to this because they don't want to hear it. They want to know the one quick thing, the one hack that will actually get them someplace. And unfortunately, none of those things exist. They're not real. I encourage you to keep just trying those hacks, and you'll realize every single one of those hacks and tips and tricks and all those kind of things that you see, they don't work. And what works is you get back up and you do it again and you repeat and you try and you're just a little bit uncomfortable every day until something happens. And that something that happens is not going to be instant. It's going to be, you look back after a decade of doing it, you realize that you're much further ahead than you used to be. And you do that repeatedly until there's no end, until you just keep going. And this is the same old message that I tell every day. It's all about just slowly putting in the efforts, and it doesn't feel like you actually make progress. In fact, every day you feel like you're further behind. Every day it feels more uncomfortable, but it's actually moving the needle when you do that hard, rigorous, painful work. And I wish that there was some way that I can tell you that that's exactly what it is every day, but only a few people understand this secret and a few people get it, and everybody else, they're going to sit there and try these little tips and tricks and hacks and all these kind of things and not make progress, and they're going to want to stop. In fact, the only way that you make progress is by doing that work and turning that work into a joy somehow and trying to figure out how you turn it into joy. Not often you figure it out, and it might take you a whole lifetime, but that's what it takes. Every day, putting in a little bit of work, being a little bit uncomfortable, having a little bit of pain until you actually get to where you want to go to. Take care and have a wonderful day.